I'd like to call to order the City of West Covina Planning Commission meeting for Tuesday, September 10th, 2013 at 7:01 p.m. Would you please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Velez and remain standing for a moment of silent prayer and meditation. Thank you.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Valles? Commissioner Menifee? Present. Commissioner Castellanos?
Present.
Commissioner Blackburn?
Present.
Chairman Holtz?
Present. Brings us to approval of minutes for the regular meeting of August 27th. Any corrections or additions? If not, they stand approved. This brings us to oral communications. This is a time when any member of the public may speak to the Commission on any matter within the scope of duties assigned to the Commission relating to non-agendized or consent calendar items. Other matters included on this agenda may be addressed when that item is under consideration. For all oral communications, the chairperson may impose reasonable limitations on public comments to assure an orderly and timely meeting. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the Planning Commission and staff's ability to respond to public comments at this meeting. Thus, your comments may be agendized for a future meeting or referred to staff. The Commission may ask questions for clarification if desired at this time. By policy of the Commission, oral communications at this time on the agenda is limited to a total of 15 minutes. Persons who are not afforded the opportunity to speak at this time may do so under item E later on the agenda. Does anyone wish to speak? None. That brings us to the consent calendar. All matters listed under consent calendar are considered to be routine and can be acted on by one vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless members of the Planning Commission request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion or hearing. Does anyone wish to have anything removed from or brought off the consent calendar? I'm tongue-tied tonight. Having none? Okay. We'll receive and file.
You should probably have a motion in second.
You want a motion on that?
Yes.
Okay, can we have a motion on that?
Motion. Second.
And second. All in favor? Aye. 5-0. Thank you. Brings us to item 3, extension of time, conditional use permit number 11-09, variance number 11-09, wireless telecommunication facility applicant, Yumi Kim, Core Development Services for Verizon Wireless. Location is 2223 Ramona Boulevard. There's a request for a second one-year extension. Do we have a motion?
No, just a point of order on that. That's part of the consent calendar.
Oh,
so
it is?
The motion you just made covered that.
Okay, thank you. Brings us down to public hearings. There are none. Brings us, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Brings us down to item number 4, art in public places, number 13-01, schematic stage. Location is 112 Plaza Drive, Westfield Shopping Mall. And this is a conceptual review of artwork for Westfield Shopping Mall. Who wishes to speak on that?
I'll be starting the presentation, and we're going to have some presentation by the applicant as well. The Westfield West Covina Shopping Center is proposing to install public artwork at their site. The proposed artwork is required to comply with the Art in Public Places Ordinance and the Municipal Code, and it is for precise plans 0802 and 0905, which allowed for the construction of the Best Buy and the restaurants and other uses that are kind of wrapped the north exposure between Best Buy and Sears. And so those precise plans were the items that approved that construction, including Gold's Gym and where Nordstrom's Rack is as well. So there's quite an extensive amount of work done there. The required artwork allocation is $322,120.07. So this process is a two-step process. The schematic stage, which is what you're looking at tonight, allows the Planning Commission to review the conceptual design of the proposed artwork prior to their final submittal. During this review, the Commission can consider the artwork details, including the type and style of artwork, placement, material, size of artwork, color, and texture of the piece, or in this case, the pieces. At the conclusion of the hearing, the Planning Commission will determine if changes are needed prior to final submittal. And we have, just for your information, we have provided the developer guide, pages 9 through 14, which is what we give to the developer and what they pretty much followed in order to come up with, to choose the artist and to come up with the art that they are presenting to you tonight. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to our Beatrice, who is the public art consultant, and she's going to be presenting it with the artist as well. So go ahead.
We are very proud and excited to present this project. I was the public art consultant. Better? I was a public art consultant for this project, and I've worked on it for well over a year with the mall's management, and we shepherded the process with input and help from staff, as well as taking into consideration the guidelines of the city. We did something that I'm very proud of because I think it's quite unusual, certainly in the context of a shopping mall. We included a collaboration with a landscape architect and a team of artists. We reviewed 72 proposals of variant kinds, and we felt that the most interesting one was the team called Nature Works, two artists, one of whom is here, and she's going to be showing you some samples and talking a little bit about their work and how they approach this project. The other two members of our team are also here, Ramon Oseguera and Brian Martini, who were on the selection committee. So they represent Westfield, and if you have any questions, they would be more than happy to answer them. Actually, I think that Ramon's vision was driving this project very much, so he's very much the right person to ask questions of. What we did, as you can see, and it does have perfect. I was just very sorry. I'm seeing whether it has a laser pointer, but you can see that up there. We're indicating the position of a little area here that was designated as the ideal area to, this is a photograph of that particular area that we felt would be a great place to bring nature into the park, into the mall, and create a little park. Here is a site plan where you can also see the location right next to Best Buy. It is at one of the entrances to the mall, and the purpose was to create something that people can use not only during the day when they're shopping, but also in the evening, to have a multi-purpose, multifunctional park that all the different people who use the mall, whether it is families with children or people who just want to come and maybe catch a program that either the mall or the city would put on. I mean, this is going to be an open space with different functions. We used a selection criteria that I'm not going to go through because you had it in your packages, and basically it just shows that we took this very seriously. And the two images that are on the side were pulled from some of the submittals that we got from artists. as you see, we went through several steps, and we had several finalists whom we interviewed in person. And here is Nature Works. What you will see in their work, the things that inspired us was that it was very organic. It would soften that whole area of the mall, and also extremely durable. I mean, these are things that can be power washed. So both the practical aspect and the aesthetic aspect appealed to us. So I would like to invite the artist up, and I will pass the branch that she brought. If I can get back there. Should I just give it to you? Yeah. It's just to show you how organic this is. This is all made by the artists. It looks like an exact tree branch, but it's a completely durable piece of sculpture. And we will also demonstrate how the actual sculptural elements are going to be functioning with lights, creating both a daytime and a nighttime presence. So these are images of their past works. And I think this was all part of our submitted material, so I don't want to go through everything because I know that your time is precious. But this is kind of the rendering of the park. And what you can see, I'm pointing at myself. These are the different sculptural elements here, and these are functional sculptural elements. So these would be the things that would be like the branch that we presented, and these are the metal sculptures that are like this sample that we brought that would be lit from inside. So is there anything you want to say about the actual artwork?
Sure.
How many
absolutely.
pieces? And
Sure, absolutely. I'm Valerie Salatino. My business partner is not here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity. We're really excited about this project and working with everybody from Westfield. And basically, we've been in business for 17 years. We've done art for public spaces. We've built artwork and in different types of elements for the San Diego Zoo. We've worked for Disney and a lot of big groups. And so when we approached this park, we wanted to definitely make it exciting at night. As Beatrice is expressing, the seating area will be a simulated look of walnut. And I mean, that material is an epoxy, or some people call it a polymer. It's extremely strong. Basically, this is demonstrating what we plan to do with the sculptures, and I'm just going to go ahead and plug it in. What's the second to come on? The darker in here, the better. But basically, what this is a laser light. And shrouded over perforated steel is different type of decorative metals. In this application is made to look like Corten steel. Corten steel is a certain type of steel that the older it gets, the more rusty it gets. Actually, it becomes more strong. So in this application, which you have the pictures, I guess, in your own files, we're doing the rectangular one over to the left, and that is going to be 6 feet by 3 feet, and that will be symbolic of the West Covina City emblem. But we've also laced in some walnut leaves to kind of just embellish on that. And then there's a sphere in the back that is going to be joined by, it's going to be 7 feet in diameter, so pretty big. Again, all laser lit. So at night it's going to be really fantastic. But the sphere is basically a shroud of, again, perforated steel, but then it'll have leaves and vines linked together, also with the flowers of the lily of the Nile, which is the city's flower. Over in the far right is the egg-shaped sculpture, which is symbolic of this, cycle of life. It is actually just very beautiful sculpture. You can appreciate it more in the drawing that we submitted. And the staging area is going to be nice.
Which I didn't mention. I'm terribly
Okay.
sorry. What? No, stay.
Okay.
What I forgot to mention is that we took the multidimensionality of the project very much to heart. You didn't have the flickering little things coming out of there?
You mean the laser lights?
Uh-huh. Never mind. You know the little lights that go all the way around?
Oh, right. We're going to have some of these externally also, not just encapsulated in the sculptures. So it's a laser landscape light. It casts tens of thousands of micro points of light. So when the wind blows and the trees blow, it's very magical. So we're not going to do too many of those. We'll do very selective amounts, so it's subdued, but it will be pretty nice again.
So in the evenings and during the day and on weekends, what is going to be available is a... Do I keep doing this? I'm pushing the wrong one. A stage here where anything can happen. I mean, music, poetry reading, dancing, and there is a seating area dedicated with good sight lines of the stage, but people can also sit on these benches as well as on this shaded bench with a canopy that's also a sculptural leaves over it to make sure that everything is always very comfortable for people and it can be used in many different ways. I also wanted to mention that it is a collaboration with a landscape architect, so the landscape is drought tolerant, very much the type of plants that would survive year-round in West Covina, and you won't have like dark periods when the plants will die back. Is there anything you want to add?
Well, sure. Just elaborate a little bit more.
Okay.
The whole concept, when we took a look at it, we wanted to create something that really pulled nature into the space. So many times you go to certain parks or seating areas and everything's poured fiberglass, has sort of a sheen to it, it's very plasticky. As you can see, our work is very organic, and these are going to be done like with, heavy gauge steel, and they'll be clear coated. Everything that Beatrice says, I'll just echo, is the material is extremely strong. Like she said, we build like life-size trees for the primates at the zoo in San Diego, and they get power washed every day, and they have like 7,000 pounds of tensile strength, so your seating is going to last a long time. Not only that, people are actually going to think that we brought in huge hunks of walnut and carved them. That's how real it's going to look. So
this is the way the park is going to look like. This is the seating dedicated to view, and this is the stage. And these are the 5 sculptural benches and the sculptures themselves. And the landscape lighting that is in this corner is going to be shooting these little laser lights onto the leaves, but it's nothing that would harm anybody's eyes, or it's meant to be in public places to light up. And this is the landscape. So is there anything you would like to add? No? Any questions?
Do we have any questions?
I have a couple of questions. I apologize if I missed it. Are the trees going to be man-made, or are they real trees that you're going to bring in?
These are real trees.
Okay. On the decking or the base, it looks like that's partially stone and partially concrete.
You mean this area here? with
Yes. Is that material going to be a stone deck or proposed?
it's throughout the park, it'll be poured concrete, but we'll do some stone inlay here and there to make it interesting, but it'll all be flush.
It's
Okay.
the seating that the question is about, whether the...
Specifically the
that
seating.
answered my question. And in some of the other parks that you've done projects in, I noticed on the proposal, the material, the polymer material there were some issues apparently with anti-graffiti that you put on a paint or a coating that would help alleviate that if it is painted or
Yes, absolutely.
damaged. Has that been an issue in some of the other projects that you've done?
Anytime you build a public park or you're building a high-traffic area, except for maybe a museum where no one's going to come in and tag, you want to do an anti-graffiti, which is basically a clear coat that has a silicone base. The silicone materials cannot be painted on, and so that's what anti-graffiti is, a silicone-based clear coat. So we were planning to spray everything with that.
And that's able to be washed off, is that correct?
Yes, yeah,
Right.
quite easily, actually.
Okay,
So it's a good precaution, especially in a public park.
great.
I don't
Thank
think
you.
we'll have a problem with the mall, though. I just don't, no.
We hope that people will love it enough not to deface
Any-
it.
Anyone else have a question?
Yeah, I do. So as far as scratching that, that silicone base, could that be scratched like with a knife? Is it resistant to that?
Yeah, probably.
Well, it's sort of like anything can be hit with a hammer and anything can be scratched with a knife, so I have to say yes. But it's not like a visible, I think, before we will hit it with the silicone base for the anti-graffiti properties, we clear coat everything that seals everything down to a pinpoint. So first it gets a clear coating, and then, because like say the trees at the San Diego Zoo, we don't anti-graffiti for obvious reasons, but I mean they're sealed first to hold in, you know, keep moisture out, that sort of thing. And but as far as it being able to be scratched, yes.
I was just asking because sometimes when kids can't tag something, then that's the next thing they do
Yeah.
out of frustration, and then
Yeah. if
get
it's-
through the paint.
But if it's scratched, it's not something that's going to peel up like a thin layer of a veneer or something. It's not going to be that visible. But we'll supply Westfield with a maintenance manual. It's pretty easy to reapply.
Oh, good. That's good.
Sure.
And another question, what happens if these laser lights go out? How easy are those to replace?
The little transformer piece, which is kind of the brain of it, is like very inexpensive to replace. They last about 7,700 hours each. So I didn't calculate exactly, but that's, you know, if you have it on from maybe 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night until midnight or 11:30, that should be a lot of years' use. But they're fairly inexpensive, easily changed out.
Good, thank you.
Commissioner Velez?
Yes, I had a question in regards to your stage. It's going to be stationary, it's not a movable.
It's stationary, yes.
And what is it going to consist of? What materials are you going to use
That
on
is the
this?
same poured concrete as,
concrete 10 inches off the ground, so you know you're honest.
but it's not going to look like dead space when it's not in use because it's not just raised and there is this big empty space. So we just felt that people can use it during the day for different functions, but it can also be allocated to concrete functions. So we thought that would be something that even the city can use at times.
And I imagine there's going to be lights around it? Is there?
That would be the landscape architect's scope on the final to decide what kind of lighting is necessary around the landscape.
It'll probably flush mount lights just, you know, every, say, 4 to 5 feet, just to lightly illuminate right where the step is, right before you take the step.
Would you please come up to the microphone, because this is being recorded and
Sure,
people
sorry.
can't hear it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll probably do flush mount around the stage. It wasn't drawn in, but just to lightly illuminate where the step up is, and so when the performer's up there or the speaker, it'll look nice, but it'll also, I know what you're saying, you don't want a tripping issue.
Yeah.
You want to designate that without putting anything that's like glow in the dark. That's not unattractive. So we'll probably do flush mount, probably 4 lights around that area.
Thank you.
Commissioner Menifee? None? I have a couple of questions. The mall at night is pretty well lit up at night. Is that going to impact the lasers?
That's
The
a great
lights
question.
outside the mall?
Yeah, you know, we haven't taken a sort of study of the ambient lighting at night there, but that's one of the reasons why when we use the laser lights, we want to be conservative with it and place it so it's not like overdone. The lighting inside the sculptures are going to be subtle and beautiful. We want to highlight the trees in the area in the park, but we don't want it to be too bright. But great point, because there's going to be so much light coming from the mall that we want to we don't want to overdo it.
You know, maybe Westfield, once you get this done, they can tone down the lights there or something, I don't know. Because
That
otherwise
particular-
it'll block out your lasers.
That particular corner will not have the lights left in that are there currently. The only light that would penetrate the park would be coming from the parking area and just the entrance. So that particular area would not be brightly lit. It would have ambient lighting, obviously, from the parking lot, but it will allow, these are very sharp little lights. I'm sorry they're not here because they really are very strong, so
Yeah.
it's going to be visible.
Yeah, for safety reasons, though, you know, they really need to keep that parking lot lit up at night, you know, for shopping. Another question I have, you talk about using steel. Is it stainless steel that you're using?
Well,
We're going to use wrought iron. Actually, I'm thinking about using stainless steel and iron for the sphere, just for a combination of mixed metals. It would be really beautiful with the leaf and vine effect.
Yeah, because stainless is pretty impervious to, you know, rust and weather and all that versus regular steel. So
It
it's a
can be, yes.
combination of both.
Yes, I was thinking maybe rustic mixed with a rouge effect, which is really a detail of the details.
Okay.
But we do plan to clear coat everything. What we want to do is, what you are looking at here is more, sort of a patina effect, a cold patina effect, where it sort of brings out the beauty of the metal and then clear coat it. You can encourage patinas by applying acids, and then you clear coat it, and it kind of freezes the look, you know, and stops the growth. Really, rust is alive from growing. So then you have the coloration you want, and you seal it. It looks good for a long time.
Okay. I noticed you had a lot of plants in here that you're planning on using. Is the whole list that you have, you're going to use all of these, basically?
Again, I think that's something that would be a final selection. We want to do a nice selection of those colors. We want to do purple and blue and orange. We don't want to make it we want to have some continuity of color, but we also want to make sure that we have something that's maybe 3 feet, something that's lower to the ground, something that's ground cover. So it's a nice terrain. That's a good
Okay. The only suggestion I have, I noticed you had in there foxtail agave, if that's the way you pronounce it. And those have very sharp points. And so I would suggest that you don't put any plants in there that could be injure somebody, you know, some kid running up putting his hand
Right.
on it. So, and they are very sharp, and I've been stung several times.
Okay.
So I would stay away from those type of plants.
Yeah, we took note also of some of the plants that are in the mall now, and accidentally chose the lily of the Nile. We didn't even know it was the city's plant. We're like, hey, wait a second, good.
Okay.
That was intuitive.
Again, just for safety reasons, you know.
Right.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Velez?
Yes, I have another question. I'm sorry I didn't ask you that. When do you think you're going to start? When the project? What is the plans for the project?
We're ready.
Yesterday.
We're ready now.
And how long will it take? Do you have any
We're
idea?
estimating about 4.5 months to 6 months at the max. Want to get it done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Jeff, do we get public comment on this section?
That is up to you. It's not required, but if you want to allow the public to speak, this will be the opportunity.
Does anybody wish to speak on this project? No? Okay. Where do we go from here? Who did? Dave, do you raise your hand? Oh, please, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Come on up, Dave.
I just have one question. I think I maybe got the answer. I didn't hear it. The stage itself, how big is the stage and how high is it? And if it's too high, does it have a railing for safety on the backside? That's my question. So they can sure can answer that.
Could you please come up and answer that question?
For the staging area, we're planning to do 10 feet off the ground. 10 inches, and 15 by 20. So it's going to be large. I mean, so there's enough room if you have a cast of people, or you have a group of musicians, and there's enough space and it's safe. So Did I address the questions as far as safety? Everything is going to be ADA compliant, absolutely. We won't go above that. A normal step is usually 7 inches, so we're going like 3 inches taller.
So is the stage basically for entertainers?
Yeah, whatever events are going on at the mall.
Okay, but there won't be any, like, benches or anything up on the stage?
No, but maybe a solution to what you were saying earlier about what's going to go on there. Maybe the mall may choose to put potted plants when there's an event. You might move the plants out of the way, something like that, so there's something decorative up there.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I did just one other quick question on that height of the step. You may want to check. I'm not real sure that 10 inches is allowable. You might know better than I.
No, I agree that everything will be ADA compliant. We were thinking something above a normal step, which is like 6 to 7 inches, but we don't want to go higher. But absolutely, if 10 inches is out of the range, it will bring it down. Absolutely.
And then the back part of that stage actually backs up to the mall, doesn't it?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So as I stated when I introduced the project, this is the schematic stage. So this is the ability for the Planning Commission to make comments and to state if there's any issues that they have with the artwork or any aspect of the artwork. It allows the commission to review the concept prior to the completion of the design. And in this case, the applicant is requested to create a public art park at the Westfield Shopping Center. So Planning Commission should consider the artwork and provide any input. And it will come back to you again, but it'll be the final stage. And once you say, if you say everything is fine, we like it, go do it, then they're going to invest some money into preparing the plan so that they can bring those back to you for the final design. So really, this is the point of input. If you have anything to talk about the overall scheme or the concept. When it comes back, it'll be more detail focused.
So it's basically input to the artist and that as to what we see, right?
I'm sorry?
It's basically input to
Yes, it's input
the
on
artist and all as to what we see and all that.
That is
Okay.
correct. And if you're happy with it, you can just make a motion and vote and say that we feel that this artwork is appropriate for the setting, and then they'll go and do what they need to do to come back.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a comment first, and I'd be glad to make the motion. I think it's terrific. I am really, really pleased. About 5 years ago, I started with the city as an arts commissioner, and our responsibility was art in public places. And when I see the process you've gone through, the elaboration of looking at 72 different kinds of things you might do, and the selection of such a wonderful display, I'm very, very pleased. I want you to know that. It would be my honor to make a motion in favor of this.
Do we have a first and a second? Does anybody else want to make a comment before we vote? No? Okay. I too think it's a great project, and I'm really glad to see it happen. I think it'd be great. You picked out a great spot. We can see it from the freeway, and it's really good. And I know Westfield will work with you on the lighting to make sure it doesn't, overshadow what's going on. So I'm very much in favor of it. So I had a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Passes 5-0. Thank you. Good luck. It's very nice. Okay, this takes us to continuation of oral communications. Anybody else want to speak on oral communications? You wish to speak? Please. Please come up.
I just have a comment to make. They neglected to mention something that I think is essential. This fits the history of West Covina because it's walnuts, and we were known as a walnut grove in the middle of a speed trap. we were famous for. But I think the idea of working in the fact that we were a walnut community is very important. I do have a question. They said that the stage is adjoining the mall, or is it at the parking lot?
The stage, I understand, it backs up to the wall.
They stated that it backed up to the wall.
But the picture looked like it was on the parking lot.
They have a view that was shown to us, if we can find it,
Yeah, there's
there
one
that
in here,
shows
too.
how it backs up to the wall. There you go. And you see the stage back
there's two
in the
walls.
corner.
Oh, okay.
is on the lower right.
Right.
Okay, I thought that,
The curved seating, there's 3 levels, is against the wall.
It's not the mall wall, it's the other wall that faces along Best Buy.
oh, it is a wall, okay, but
Yeah.
it's not the mall wall.
No, it's the Best Buy wall, so it's in a triangle area.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? David? Okay, that takes us to commission reports, comments, and miscellaneous items. This is a time when any member of the commission may bring a matter to the attention of the full commission that is within the scope and duties assigned to the commission. Any item that was considered during the agenda is not appropriate for discussion in this section of the agenda. No commission discussion or action can be considered at this time. If the commission desires to discuss an issue raised by a speaker or take an action, the commission may vote to agendize this matter for future meeting. Anyone? Okay. I'd like to pass out at this time, if I could. I don't know if any of you saw it in the newspaper, but it has something to do with the items we've been talking about on the e-cigarettes. And I just made copies for you, just for your information only. What do we got here? We got 2. It was in the San Gabriel Valley Tribune about a week ago. And it's not gospel, but I think it's just information I'd like to pass on to everybody because we're dealing with that issue at this point in time. Okay. Okay, anybody else want to bring anything up at this time? If not, takes us to Planning Director's report.
We do have one set of subcommittee minutes from the August 27th meeting for your review tonight. That's all I have.
Do we need to vote on approval of those?
No, they're
No,
just there for
okay.
information.
Anything else?
No,
No? City Council action?
I have nothing to report from City Council.
Nothing to report. Okay, if there's no further comments, we're ready for adjournment. Anybody else before we adjourn? No? Did we set the record? Close? Okay. Meeting's adjourned.